Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about round 1 of the FIDE Candidates that took place today between Hikaru and Fabiano Caruana. It was an absolutely beautiful game. I literally watched it from start to finish. Guys, this is the first time in my life that I ever tuned into a chess stream from literally hour 1 to like hour 6, like the entire chess stream. I was locked into the stream the whole entire time. I watched this game from start to finish. I was yelling at the TV. I was very much engaged in the chat. I was yelling at the TV. I was yelling out the moves, screaming out the moves, telling the players what to do as if they could hear me, but they can't. But guys, I was totally locked into this game. For context, guys, I am on my road to 1,500 over the board. I just cracked 1,500 online on chess.com. Check out this video if you want to see it. But I'm saying all this to say everything that I'm going to say in this video is from my perspective and my perspective only as a player who is working every day to improve my chess skills and get better at the game of chess, guys. Everything that I say in this video is 110% from my perspective as a growing chess player, learning and playing in tournaments and getting better every single day. So without further ado, guys, let's take a look at the game. Let me share with you guys everything that I took away from this beautiful masterpiece of a game that Fabiano played from start to finish until he had that blundering move in the end game, which I related to as well, because sometimes it feels like, at least, the hardest position sometimes to win in chess is the positions that are already won, especially when you have a player who's hanging on and who's trying to hold the position as hard as Hikaru was doing in this game here. But without further ado, guys, let's take a look at the game and let's see exactly what went down. Fabiano, he starts out with the move knight f3. Interesting to me, right? Because I play the London system, I play the Catalan sometimes. So when he started out with the move knight f3, I'm like, oh, I might even get even more lucky. I might get to see something that I play, and I'll be able to take even more away from this game, right? So Fabi plays the move knight f3. Hikaru responds with the move d5. Fabi immediately plays the move c4, asking him a question in the center, and then Hikaru responds with the move e6. Fabi then plays the move g3. I'm looking at the game and I'm like, wow, are they about to get into a Catalan? That's exactly the opening that I play. I would love to see how Fabi play the Catalan and learn from it, right? And then immediately Hikaru says, no, you're not going to get into your prep. I'm going to play the move d5. But I'm sure Fabiano was prepped for this. Fabiano just plays the move bishop to g2. Hikaru develops his knight to c6. Fabiano get castle. So far, so good. Fabiano has king safety. He's developed his entire king side. And then they continue to play with the move bishop to c5. Hikaru developing his dark square bishop. Fabiano then plays the move e3. Hikaru develops to knight at b to d2. And then Fabiano immediately plays the move knight captures d4. And then Hikaru captures back. And instead of capturing back with the pawn, Fabiano asked the bishop a question with b4. So far, so good. I am sure Fabiano knew what he was doing the whole entire time. As you guys can see, only about 8 minutes have left his clock. I'm sure they're still very much into their prep, and they're very confident with the moves they're making at this point. Hikaru plays the move bishop takes b4. Fabi plays the move E captures d4, getting his piece back. And then in this position, I'm like, will he pick up this pawn? I was sure in this position that Hikaru wouldn't pick this pawn up because his king's unsafe, right? If he takes here, then white would just play queen to a4. He would, of course, have to play knight to c6, and then bishop captures c6, and then what happens? You lose a piece, right? So I knew for sure he wasn't going to play that line with his king in the center of the board. So, of course, it took Hikaru not much time to get castle. In this position, I was wondering what Fabi would do. I thought for sure he was going to play bishop to b2, but ultimately Fabi decided to play the move queen to b3, which actually turned out to be the #1 computer recommended move. And then in this position, I'm like, ooh, white is just beautiful out of the opening here. At this moment, he's asking the bishop a question. The bishop obviously retreats, and then white plays the move knight to c3. In this position, I thought for sure white is just better out the opening here. His pieces are more developed, more active in the center of the board, and I thought for sure Hikaru had to take with d4, but he found the even better move, of course, because he's Hikaru. He played knight to f5, which was absolutely the computer #1 recommended move. So in this position, guys, we have us a beautiful chess game. And then Fabi surprised me when he played that. I thought for sure, okay, now this is the opportunity. You're going, develop one of these rooks, or I thought for sure he was going to play bishop to b2 again, but he played the move bishop to a3. Interesting. I didn't expect that. Is that even Oh yeah, I guess that's a common move. He plays the move bishop to a3. I thought for sure it was coming to b2, but he plays the move bishop to a3. And in this position, I was wondering, how would Hikaru respond? Will he respond to the threat and move his rook over? Or will he pick up this free pawn with the knight attacking this queen? And ultimately, Hikaru decided to move his rook over. So far, so good, guys. I am into this game. I'm at the TV into this game again. This is an opening that I am familiar with. Even though it's the ready opening, this is a position that I'm very much familiar with. I do play the Catalan, so it is very, very interesting to see how Fabi's going to use his lead in development and his lead in the center and this beautiful light square diagonal that he has to win this game. The start of this game, that's what intrigued me. And then by the finishing of this game, I'm like, oh, this game's going to be won on the white squares. He's going to use his light square bishop and his other pieces to win this game on the light squares. And that's exactly what happened in this game, because Hikaru totally misplays this position. So he plays the move rook to e8, and then Fabi makes the move d5. d5, such a beautiful move. And this begins the part of me learning from Fabi in the way that he played this game. Okay, so he plays the move d5, and then Hikaru plays the move knight to d4, and then Fabi moves his queen to a4. Now we're in this position, attacking this bishop. And then Hikaru did something that I totally did not expect. He played the move b6. I thought that was a terrible move. In this position, your good bishop is your dark square bishop, so you don't want to go putting pawns in the same color complex as your good bishop, and that ultimately speaks to why he loses this game, because in the end game he had a pawn that restricted the movement of his dark square bishop, because he had a pawn in the same color complex as his dark square bishop. But you know, I was very surprised to see him play the move b6, because why stop the maneuver of your good bishop? You know what I mean? I was just very surprised to see the move b6, because I just thought strategically it wasn't a great move. And I think Fabi took advantage of that. Fabi plays this move, rook at a to e1, which of course was the #1 computer recommended move, right? I thought for sure that Fabi would take this pawn. And this is something that I learned as a result of watching this game. My major question was, in the Catalan, because the Catalan is what I play, why in the Catalan, but I believe Fabi played the ready, why in this position? Why is this light square bishop more valuable than this rook? Okay, because look, what's going to happen, I thought for sure he was going to take, and then, you know, black takes back with the bishop or the rook, and then he wins material here. But as you guys can see, the eval bar is favoring black, even though white is a +2 in material. So that is something that this position here, I actually took a picture of it on my phone, because like this is a position that I want to go over with my coach as a Catalan player. I want to know, why is this light square bishop more valuable than this rook here? Because to me, it was like, okay, pawn, shouldn't D just capture e6, and then he take back with either the bishop or the rook, and then, you know, he wins a rook for a bishop. I thought for sure it was the right way to go to win material. But ultimately, as you guys can see, the eval bar in the computer says that gives black a huge attack. And I understand it in this position, because black pieces are more active and they're more in the center of the board. I get that. But then in positions to come, he still had the same opportunity. But obviously, you know, this bishop is stronger than this rook in this game, and that is something that I want to learn more about. I really wanted to know, like, why is this not automatically winning? It's obvious that black has an attack, but, you know, shouldn't material mean something? You know, but it turns out that light square bishop is more important than that rook in this position. And I want to know why. As a Catalan player, I think that that's very important for me to know. So, of course, instead of playing the move pawn takes and to pick up that rook, he ignores the rook. He doesn't want the rook. Instead, he plays rook at a to e1. Beautiful move. #1 computer recommended move. And again, that's why I learned so much from this game. Because seeing him not pick up the rook, that gives me an opportunity to go and learn why picking up the rook is not... why winning the material in this position is not safe for your king. He plays rook at a to e1, and then black plays the move bishop to d7, attacking white's queen. Fabi drops his queen back to d1. Black plays the move c5. And guys, this is another time where I'm like, why is the material not suffice for the bishop? I'm like, are we not just gonna take, okay, bishop take and then pick up the rook? But as you guys can see in this position, no, you can't. That's not winning, The material is not, even though white would be even though white's a +2 in this position, the material is not winning. So for me, this was a great learning opportunity. I cannot wait to meet with my coach. I actually meet my coach tomorrow and sit down and talk about this position, because I really want to know, why is the material not enough to understand it? And in this position is better than the other position that he had the opportunity to take it, because White's pieces are in the center of the board. So I was just curious. I just really want to know, why is the material not, suffice to, equalize, or at least to be winning, or at least equalize Black's attack against the king. I want to know why. I mean, I know this light square diagonal was open. Black has that light square bishop, which is a problem. Okay, that is an issue. I understand that, but I thought that the material would be suffice to weaken Black's attack, but apparently not. So when he played this move and Black did not take, it made me want to look into it even more. The material is not enough to give away this light square bishop, okay? And obviously Fabiano knows that, and that is a huge takeaway that I took from this game as a Catalan player. So in this position, White is totally dominating Hikaru in the center of the board. Okay, White is just better here. Period, point blank. White has the better minor piece. Again, Black is just, putting all his pawns. His good bishop is locked in there. His other bishop is locked in there. White's pieces are more active. So I thought to myself in this position, I'm like, shouldn't Fabiano play the move knight to e4? And I'm like, yeah, he's going to play the move knight to e4. But then I realized how losing that would be. And that's why this game taught me so much. Because after knight to e4, something terrible happens where Hikaru will be able to take, and then Black gets this beautiful move, bishop to b5. And now you're in trouble because you have to lose this rook. I thought because White was a bit better here, it's time to move our pieces forward and get into this attack here. But the thing is that White has this bishop out here hanging and a little bit misplaced at this point. So I thought that Fabi played a brilliant, calm, patient, strategical move. Bishop to b2. He's basically communicating. He's in no rush. Look at his time. He got 40 minutes. Sometimes I'm watching this stream from start to finish. I'm like, what is taking him so long? Well, not what's taking him so long, but in this position here, I'm thinking like, I thought to myself, Fabi's clearly better. He's clearly winning the game. I thought knight to e4 for a second. Then I figured out why that's completely losing. Because he'll get to take, and then the bishop comes here asking that rook a question, and that rook can't get out. So I'm like, okay, that's clearly not the move. And I thought to myself, Fabi's going to play one or two moves. He's either going to get this bishop on a better square, attacking this diagonal through the center of the board here, play the move rook to e3, then bring the other rook over down this file here. And Fabi he was so poised. He was so calm. Well, obviously, I don't know what he's thinking on the inside, but I just thought all his moves were calm. They were not rushed. They were very strategical. He calmly plays the move bishop to b2. I thought that was so gangster. He put his piece on a better square along this diagonal through the center of the board. I thought that was a beautiful move for him. And then Hikaru plays the move rook to b8, and I'm thinking, after all this time, he didn't care if he lost his rook before, so why does he care to lose the rook now? Maybe after a move like bishop to b2, maybe now if e takes and then bishop takes, it was more winning for White to now pick up that rook than it was before when the bishop was misplaced on a3. So now, of course, Hikaru moves his rook to b8. So far, so good, but White is winning. Now, again, guys, I told you guys that I was looking at knight to e4, and this is the part where I say, like, bishop to b2 was just such a strategical move, beautiful move, putting the bishop back through the center of the board, and that just shows you how strategically sound he is versus his opponent in this particular game, putting all these pawns on these dark squares and giving himself a bad bishop, which is the piece that he loses the game with, right? I just thought that was beautiful strategically, and then after rook to b8, Fabi plays this beautiful move, a4. And in this position, I'm like, wow, that is some beautiful positional chess. So in this game, I'm learning about strategy with a move like bishop to b2, and then I'm learning about positional chess with a move like a4. That is a beautiful positional move for the position, because now if he wants to move anywhere forward with the knight, and takes that bishop can't do stuff like come in there. You know what I mean? So I just thought that was a gorgeous positional move, and I understood why he played it. We got to shut down this diagonal for this bishop. So I thought that was beautiful positionally, especially since earlier in the position I considered a move like knight to e4. Guys, mind you, I'm watching this stream from start to finish. I'm really locked in here. I'm calling out the moves as if I was playing a game. Okay? It's safe to say I had a tournament today because that's the way I was calling out the moves. But I just thought, you know, when I was calling out certain moves and he was playing moves like a4, I'm like, oh, that is a positional move. That is a beautiful positional move. And I think that is something that I had to add to my game, positional moves like that. a4, just a gorgeous move. Now if you want to move somewhere with your knight, you can do it without worrying about this bishop to b5 threat. So I just thought that that was a beautiful move in terms of positional chess, and it taught me a lot, really. So I'm just, you know, it's more than just being better and then just going for it. Sometimes you got to strengthen the positional play, and that's exactly what Fabi did, and it would have moved like a4. So, you know, Fabi wins this game, and I just thought from start to finish he outplayed Hikaru like real bad. So anyway, a4, and then Hikaru plays the move a6. Interesting move, but I still, you know, it's nothing. I think Hikaru in this position, I think white is just better. From this position here, I'm like, okay, this is either a draw or white's going to win, period. I just thought white was better. a6 is a good move. I think that he was more nervous about the knight jumping in there, so I guess a6 is fair. It was the third recommended move according to the engine. So Fabi then plays the move pawn takes d6. And I just thought that was so gangster because now no matter what you take with, Fabi's going to jump his knight in right here. What a beautiful square for his knight. His rook is blocked in by his own pawn. This rook is blocked in by a pawn. Where are you going with the queen? You know, this bishop is blocked in. This bishop is blocked in. In my mind, there is absolutely no way black is winning this game. And white has the type of position where now white can start moving forward, making progress. So Fabiano next moves makes a lot of sense. D takes e6, and then, of course, Hikaru takes back with the bishop, and now Fabiano is able to put his knight on such a beautiful square. So slowly but surely, through strategical moves like bishop to b2, positional moves, a4, now Fabiano is able to jump his knight onto a great square, beautiful outpole square, and get the position that he wants. And next thing you know, Hikaru finds this beautiful move, queen to d6. I thought that was a great move because Hikaru was getting beat up in the center of the board, so at least he brought his, you know, queen somewhere forward. Now he got the rooks looking at each other, so I thought queen to d6 was a great find by Hikaru, but I think it's a bit too late. Hikaru's already lost, in my opinion. I think queen to d6 was a great find, but I think that Fabi is just dominating, and he's not going to make a lot of mistakes in his middle game. He did make mistakes in the end game, which is something else that I, you know, relate with Fabi in this game. But, you know, after queen to d6, I'm just like, Fabi's already won. Fabi's winning, and it's going to be difficult for black to get Fabi to remove Fabi dominance in the center of the board, right? Queen to d6, and then Fabi, I thought for sure he was going to play rook to e4. But that's what I called out. Like, I was in my house like, rook to e4. I was in my house screaming, rook to e4, rook to e4. But I already knew that Fabi was going to get rid of his bad bishop for such a beautiful piece. Okay, I knew for sure that Fabi was going to get rid of his bad bishop for this beautiful piece sitting on this beautiful outpost square where no pawns could attack it. So instead of playing rook to e4, which is the #1 recommended computer move, must I say, because I did find that move. But first, Fabi, he decided to cut the knight, cut black's powerful knight, which is beautiful. But he also trades his poor bishop for Hikaru's good minor piece. So I thought that was a great fine. I knew it was happening eventually. I just thought he would play rook to e4 first, but he decides to take the knight first. Just a beautiful strategic move. And then the pawn takes on d4, and this is what I mean by black is just lost strategically. In this position, I knew there was no way Hikaru was winning this game. You got this bad, your good bishop is actually your bad bishop. It's like these pawns are going to be a problem, and you guys are going to see how even going into the endgame, Hikaru was not able to use this bishop for nothing because this pawn sits on this square for the rest of the game. C captures d4, and now it's just Fabi just has his way now. Rook to e4, like I said he would go. Bishop takes, rook takes check, rook takes back, and then bishop takes. Now we have us a ball game. This is a beautiful position. This is just such a beautiful position, okay? But the difference is that White has his good bishop controlling his whole diagonal. His king is safe. White really has nothing to worry about. It's black who's been against the rope this whole entire game. And then black plays the move bishop to b4. Now he's feeling the pressure of having a bad piece, and he's trying to figure out where to put it. But where do you go with this piece? It's a bad minor piece. And guess what? Fabi was smart to keep Hikaru with his bad minor piece. He didn't trade dark square bishop for dark square bishop. He said, I'm going to make you play the game with that piece, and instead I'm going to cut your good piece, which was your powerful knight on that beautiful outpost square. So then white makes the move h4. Hikaru makes another terrible move, which is a5, putting another pawn on the dark squares. You're just limiting the mobility of your dark square bishop. These pawns cannot be on dark squares right now at this point, but that is where Hikaru has his pawns. And guys, again, this is just all my major takeaway from this game. Of course, I am no grandmaster. Hikaru will literally kill me, just all tactically. But I gotta say, I know some things about strategy that either Hikaru doesn't know or he just doesn't care to play. And then white plays the move d3, because obviously he wants to be able to move his queen. He don't want to have to babysit no pawn back here. Black plays the move queen to f6. Obviously, that's like a move and protect scary move. What you scared? You scared that the queen's gonna come here or here and look at this light square. But if you're making, defensive moves like that, it's too late. And then Fabi, again, just strategic play. It looks like he's doing nothing, but he's doing so much. Getting his king off the dark squares, leaving the dark squares, because he knows he's not safe on dark squares. Black has the dark square bishop, so he gets his king to a better square, king to g2, where he knows he's safe because he has this beautiful light square bishop, and therefore he's in control of the light squares. And then black plays the move queen to e5. That's a decent move because he do bring his queen back into the center, but it's a losing move because now Fabiano is able to play the beautiful move queen to f3. Black plays the move queen to f6. Hikaru trying to get queens off the board, but why would I trade queens with you when I'm winning this game and I know you don't have protection of the light squares? I'm going to use this beautiful light square bishop to eat up these light squares. I call it the Catalan bishop because he played g3. I'm going to use this beautiful Catalan bishop to eat up these light squares, and there's nothing you can do about it. You simply don't have the defense of the light squares, and therefore you're going to lose this game on the light square. It was this position right here where I said black's going to lose the game on the light squares, and there's nothing black could do about it. So anyway, black then makes the move queen to f6. Of course, I'm not trading queens off the board with you because I'm winning this game, and you have literally no answer to this light squared attack that I'm about to put on you. So white plays the move queen to g4. Black then brings the bishop back. What does that do? Again, guys, he has a terrible minor piece because he just keeps putting pawns on the same color as his minor piece. That's his fault. And this bishop has no mobility because strategically, Hikaru made some bad decisions with putting these pawns on dark squares, the same color complex as his bishop, and now you can't get nowhere. The difference is white actually has an attack. So white then plays the move h5, just Fabi at this point, he knows he's winning. He knows it's just time to dominate. Again, it's time to beat him up on the light squares. And at this point, Hikaru goes into full defensive mode because he knows he's losing. So he plays the move h6, moving pawns in front of his king. That's never a good sign with a move like h6. Of course, again, you are weakening your light squares and something's bad is going to happen on the light squares. This whole game, from this point forward, I'm just trying to find the light squared attack that Fabi needs to win the game. And then Fabi plays the move rook to h1. Black then plays the move queen to g5. Again, just trying to trade queens off the board. Fabi, of course, is not having it. Queen to d1. Hikaru makes this move queen to e2. Now, at this position, he actually loses the game. Like, it was already bad, but this actually loses because now Fabiano gets this beautiful, strategically sound move. Bishop to c6. You got to move the rook. The rook attacks the bishop, but now Fabi gets this beautiful move, rook to e1, taking over the file and therefore the game. He's just slowly but surely making your pieces lead and then coming forward with his pieces. So now where you going with that queen? Of course, you have to move it. Queen to c7, and then white plays the beautiful move, bishop to d5. How do you stop this light squared attack? We have a light squared bishop vis-a-vis your king. Only thing that's going to happen is we're going to move these pieces up one way or another, and they're all going to be looking at your king on the light squares, and there's nothing you can do about it because you do not have the light square defense. And white has the light square control because he has this light square bishop. So black plays the move king to f8, and then white plays the move queen to g4. In this position, I thought he was going to play queen to f3. What did the engine think? Okay, yeah, of course, Fabi was right. Fabi just put on an absolute masterclass. I called it the Catalan because I played it. That was a position that I was familiar with out the Catalan. But, yeah, he just put on an absolute master class on how to win a position like this with the light square bishop and how to beat black up on the light squares. And he just shows us how, you know, Hikaru does his best to hold, but he was lost a long time ago. He been lost out the opening, really. He was lost way earlier. He didn't just lose, he was outplayed. And that was the thing that was so beautiful about this game, watching Fabiano. Again, I'm calling it a Catalan because I've gotten that position out of the Catalan. When somebody plays the move like d4, not allowing you to play d4 right away. To me, black has been lost. And I love Hikaru, but I just got to call it like I see it. And white plays the move queen to g4. Black then plays the move rook to d8, but what does that do? Absolutely nothing. White is just clearly winning, but now we just got to win. Obviously, Hikaru was going to hold as best as he could, but again, he's lost. White then plays the move queen to e4. The better move was queen to f5. Black then plays the move king to g8, which I was surprised to see because if I was black, I wouldn't want to be on those white squares at all whatsoever. But I guess, you know, when you're losing like this, what can you do? He actually forced him onto a light square because if you stay here, it's just bad for black. But to go on a light square with that light square bishop is very, very dangerous. So Fabiano plays the move queen to f5. He found it eventually. Black is still trying to trade the queens off the board. Of course, Fabi not having it. Why would he trade the queens off the board? Why? Fabi plays the move queen to f3, and black has to make a defensive move like rook to f8. I'm like, wow. Fabi is doing the things. Like, he's been doing the things the whole entire game. Now you have to play defense with a move like rook to f8, but you're already dominated. You're already dominated here. There's not much that could be done. This game is about to be over. I'm actually surprised that he held this position as long as he did. So that also helped me realize something too. Like I said in the beginning of this video, sometimes the hardest games to win in chess are games that's already won. You already won, but now you got to win. You know, you got to put it on the board. You got to prove the win. And sometimes those are the hardest positions to win. When you totally outplay your opponent and you totally have the position won, but now you gotta checkmate them. Right now you gotta put mate on the board. Now you have to prove the win. Those are sometimes some of the hardest positions. Like right here, white is clearly won. Look at the eval bar. White is won. White's been won for a long time, but he just got to be patient and he got to find a way to win this game. So he plays the move rook to f8, and then white plays the move rook to e5. Black then asks the rook a question. The rook goes to f5. Black plays the move queen to e7. Now this was getting a little bit tricky for me watching it because I'm just like watching Fabi take his time and really having to figure out how do I use my light square control to checkmate this king was so interesting to watch because it was like, wow, even grandmasters in completely won positions have they have to figure it out too. They still have to take their time to figure it out. You would think that somebody like Fabi could just do this with his eyes closed. It took him time and calculation to figure out this light square attack, but he did figure it out. And he plays the move queen to g4, and then black plays the move bishop to e5. Again, black can't really do anything. He's just trying to hold a position. He's trying to hold a position, but the thing is, there's no such thing as holding a position. Once you're lost, you're lost. White just has to figure it out. Rook to f3. That I was not expecting that. When he played rook to f3, I'm like, wait, why? That was so counterintuitive. What did the computer want? Queen to e2. Or queen to e4, or queen to f3. Yeah, that definitely sounds more like it. Yeah, when he went backwards, I'm like, hold on, Fabi, we are completely winning. We don't move backwards. We shouldn't. He ain't dictating nothing. What we retreating for? We're winning this position. We don't retreat. We're completely dominating this guy. We don't move back. But I didn't even have time to find the correct move because he played it so fast. If you guys look, it's 28 minutes and 12 seconds left. He played this immediately, like this. I don't think my coach would have a hard time with it, but obviously, Fabi, in this situation, you just want to be as accurate as possible. So, rook to f3, not the most accurate move, but that's what he played. And then he played the move bishop to f6. White plays the move rook to f4. And again, I'm just like, I didn't really love that move either, but that's what he played. The thing is that white is so won here, he could get away with, making the second most accurate move. He don't have to be the top accuracy. He's so one here. He could do this a million different ways. So he plays the move rook to f4. Not the best move, but a move. Black plays the move queen to d8. White then plays the move bishop to e4. Again, getting that bishop on this light square diagonal. What can you do about this? You can't do much about this. Black makes the move rook to e8. White then steps forward with his rook. Queen steps forward. Queen moves over. Bishop asks the queen a question. Bishop drops back. Rook moves over. And in this position, I said, yeah, he blundered something. I said, something's about to go. Something's about to go right here. And, of course, Fabi played it. Rook captures on f7. He captures back. And then Fabi plays the move bishop to d5. Rook moves forward. Queen moves forward, and then he has to lose the rook. And that's exactly what happened, right, guys? So now white is a full pawn up, and this game should be pretty easy. But again, for whatever reason, sometimes the most difficult games to win are the games that are won. After white wins a pawn here, all this here is just Hikaru trying to hold. This is all just Hikaru trying to hold. He's just trying not to get checkmated. But the reality is that you're lost. And eventually you're going to get checkmated. There's nothing you can do to stop it. This light square attack is going to be absolutely brutal. And this is just all Hikaru trying to stop the light square attack. And I just thought this was an absolute masterclass. And of course, Fabi makes some inaccuracies. But that's why I love this game so much. Because it just shows the top of the top. The best of the best make mistakes in a completely won position as well. Like with the move bishop to e4. Bishop f3 was best. Bishop to f3 was best. That's interesting. But Fabi's going to make a couple mistakes in trying to win this game and into the end game. But all this is Hikaru trying to hold. And he did a really good job. I was surprised he lasted as long as he did. Because like I said, white has been won this game with the strategical and positional masterpiece that Fabi put on in the beginning of the game with great positional moves like a4, just calmly bringing his bishop back to b2, calmly exchanging his weak bishop for black's strong knight that was sitting on d4, leaving black with this terrible dark square bishop that can't move nowhere because this pawn is going to be in its way all game. Like, there was just strategical, positional things that Fabi did so well, and that really is the reason that Fabi is the favorite to win this tournament, according to everybody on the internet. You know what I mean? To me, I said that maybe it could go any which way, but if Fabi continues to perform like this, I think that Fabi will have a great chance at winning this candidates tournament. But of course, he got to clean up the end game mistakes that he goes on to make in this game. Fabi's an interesting player. I like his game a lot. He reminds me a lot of myself right now. I feel like it be situations that I'm completely won and I'm playing well strategically, and then I get in positions and make certain mistakes or have a hard time closing it out or blunder like he goes on to do. But he plays so well. I guess what I'm trying to say is I can relate to Fabi in ways where, like, he's just playing so. I don't want to put that belief on myself that I blunder in one position. I don't want to own that. That's not true. Sometimes people make mistakes, but I'm just saying that. But I think that I could relate to Fabi, what he did in this game here, having a completely one position and struggling to close it and making some oversights in a completely one position, but playing so strategically well all game. And then when it comes to closing it, making some mistakes. That if Hikaru was a little bit less tense, which he was tense because he'd been defending all game, if he was a little bit less tense, he probably would have found. So anyway, bishop to e4, and then black plays the move king to e7. Again, just trying to hold. And they just go back and forth. We're trying to mate him on the light squares, right? Right, but it's just difficult. Ooh, that was a blunder. White has to play queen to e6 here, but he didn't. Instead, he played the move f4, and then black plays the move bishop to f5, and, he's just holding the position here. And, again, Fabi makes a lot of inaccuracies in this endgame. His technique, everybody says that his technique was terrible, and I'm sure it was. The engine is just saying that his technique was terrible in winning this endgame here, but he did find a way to close it out. See that move? F6, just a blunder. This gives Hikaru a chance to even out the game, but Hikaru didn't find it. He took. Oh, wait. I remember this because in the stream, when Fabi played this move, F6, Hikaru was like, it was almost like Hikaru missed it. He was like, what? You just going to give me a pawn? But what happened, this is actually a blunder. So he was correct to be like, what is that? But Hikaru took, white just moved forward with check. He just moved forward with check. So what was Hikaru supposed to do? Yeah, G captures. E6 check. King to C7. Yeah, he lost the game. So in the game, I remember when Fabi, watching his stream, I remember when Fabi played the move F6, Hikaru was kind of like, he kind of did one of those as if like, you just going to give me a free pawn. So I think that he actually overlooked that. No, he gave you that pawn, and he was then prepared to walk his pawn up to E6. But Hikaru was actually right to be surprised because it actually was a blunder. Because now white could play, because now black is supposed to play the move queen to C7. And if he found queen to C7, the game would be completely equal. But he did not find queen to C7. But you got to understand, I think that a lot of the reason why Hikaru didn't find this move is because, first of all, he's been holding for a long time. He's been holding this position for enough. He's been trying to not be checkmated for a long time, right? So he's been losing pretty much. He's been losing pretty much all game. He's been losing like the last 40 moves. So he's not prepared to try to play a move that's winning or equal. He actually is just waiting to be checkmated. Honestly, I thought he would have been resigned. I don't think in his mind he was thinking to try to save a position. I think he genuinely thought he was lost. He didn't think to play queen C7 because he truly was outplayed this whole game. Fabi just blundered with F6, but Hikaru did not find it. Because again, when you're being dominated all game, it's something like that. I think he just mentally, he's just like, okay, I'm just trying to survive as long as I can. But I think in his mind, he was already lost. He was already defeated because he's been defending a lost position for so long. Does that make sense? Like, he's been defending a lost position for so long. He gets an opportunity to equalize the game. He just doesn't see it. He just overlooks it because he's just trying to stop you from queening because he just know he's losing. He's been losing for so long, this whole game. So he plays the move king to E7, completely losing. And then, of course, Fabi plays the move king to C6. Hikaru picks up a pawn. Fabi picks up a pawn. Hikaru plays the move bishop to E1. I send out a quick tweet. I'm like, Hikaru resigns in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then as Fabiano began walking the C pawn, of course, Hikaru, he looks around for a minute, and he resigns. But guys, this was such a well-played game by Fabi until he blundered in the end game. He blundered in the end game, but I could just relate to him. For some reason, I just felt like I could relate to Fabi in this game. It was just a beautiful game to learn from because it just shows that everyone makes mistakes. But his fundamentally sound chess was very, very inspiring. I truly enjoyed watching him play. And yeah, it was just a solid game. It was just a great game. All right, guys, thank you so much for taking a look at this game with me and for kind of just understanding what I took away from this game. As a person on my road to 1,500, you know, on my road to 1,500 over the board, but obviously being stronger than that strength-wise, I just got to play in enough tournaments. I appreciate you guys for taking a look at this game from me and at least hearing it from my perspective. Obviously, these guys know a lot more than me, and I could be right about some things, wrong about other things, but this was just my perspective from the game that I watched from start to finish. All right, guys, so thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.